Hello everyone and welcome to this week of First and 10. I'm joined as always by the Joe Biden to my Barack Obama, Matt Etchier. But I guess before we get into football talk, how about that election? That was a better battle than this upcoming Thursday's football game between Romney and Obama. They were duking it out there.
It wasn't fun, I guess, but it was. I'm glad the good guys won.
Well, it was like, I guess for you, like a giant Super Bowl. They looked a little rough to start, especially the first one against the Patriots. A little rough to start. You weren't sure how things were gonna go, but once the third and fourth quarter happened, after the halftime show, brought it on, and you got the victory in the long run.
So you're thinking Eli for president then?
No.
No. Okay.
Well, maybe at least governor of New York. I could see that. I mean,
Practically already is.
Well, no, but right now the Knicks kind of run New York. They're undefeated right now in the NBA. But this is a football show, and we'll stay off the politics and the basketball for now. But last week I found to be a little bit of an interesting week. Nothing majorly exciting happened, in my opinion. A lot of games kind of went down to how you thought they'd go. I think the later games were a little bit more interesting. The Raiders-Bucks, I thought, brought it in terms of the excitement. And same with the Vikings and Seahawks. That game was a shootout for a while. Your boys lost a heartbreaker to Pittsburgh.
I was hoping you wouldn't mention that.
No, definitely. I'm always going to mention that. My team, of course, as expected, lost to Houston, but I wasn't too disappointed by losing to Houston. Only giving up 21 points to the Texans isn't that bad, folks. So, in the long run, I thought it was an interesting week. The Redskins kind of admitted they're done for the season in their post-game press conference.
This is interesting.
And this leads me to, I guess, speaking of post-game speeches, the Indianapolis Colts, of course, they battled a hard-fought matchup against Miami, and they squeaked it out there with a 23-20 victory over Miami in a matchup that was, as what we expected to be, kind of, a very close game, and one team was going to win by 3 or very closely. Mm-hmm. And, of course, after the game, the head coach of the team, Chuck Pagano, who since week 3, I think, has been battling leukemia, came back and delivered probably one of the best post-game speeches I've heard in quite some time, and maybe of all time. I mean, it's very early to say that, but considering the circumstances he's under, and that his speech wasn't just about football, it was a life speech that accumulated football. I thought it was a fantastic speech. Where would you rank this as your all-time favorite speeches of post-game speeches?
I don't know where I'd rank it. It'd definitely be close to number one, if not number one. It was an incredible speech, and you mentioned it exactly. The reason that it was an incredible speech is because it related to life as well. Something like that, I mean, so many people experience it, know people who have gone through cancer, anything like that, any kind of disease, and they know how tough it is. And this is one of the biggest reasons that I watch sports and I love to play sports and those sorts of things, is because it can bring people together to battle things like this, to talk about things like that, and it can inspire you. And that's what sports is all about, I think, at the end of the day. Wins are amazing, but really sports are about life. And I mean, I know on Twitter I always put #YaySports. That also kind of encompasses that. Just have fun playing sports, have fun with life, and the speech definitely wrapped all that up. It was incredible to watch. I got emotional, I must say, the first time I watched it, and just great work by the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they're rallying.
Well, that's the one thing. I mean, I think this, not to put a positive light on cancer and leukemia, but the Chuck Pagano having this kind of has really taken a lot of the pressure of first-round rookie Andrew Luck. And now there's like an extra reason for them to play well. Like, obviously they wanted to do well because it was, a season with, higher expectations with Luck. But now it's like that's on the back burner. They want to do really well for their coach who's now battling this disease. And it's paid off. I mean, look, the team is 2 games above 500, and they're on the verge at the moment of a wild card spot, which would be very interesting. And I guess this leads us right now to they have a Thursday nighter. And I think it'll be a really exciting Thursday nighter. Now, they are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, a team that we're very, very rarely going to talk about on this show. But these two teams duke it out every time they play. The Jags' only victory came against Indy with a Blaine Gabbert miracle throw after the Colts drove down the field and kicked a field goal. So, I mean, there's that motivation for Jacksonville to, at least get another win. And it's a bigger motivation as well, I think, for the Colts to get the win in Jacksonville because of what Jacksonville did to them in Indy. But, I mean, the Colts, they just have looked really exciting. I mean, Luck he may not be having the best, stats as a rookie quarterback right now, but he's just shown that leadership that you expected from him. But I don't think we'd expected it so soon right here. So as you can tell, I'm obviously going to take the Colts in this one. Not too much I can brag about with Jacksonville. Mm-hmm. I would say they are better than what I thought they were. They they hung out with Green Bay a couple weeks ago better than I thought they would. Mm-hmm. So hopefully once they can get MJD back, they can improve some things. But it's still a work in progress for Jacksonville.
Definitely, and it's been a work in progress for Jacksonville for a long time, unfortunately. But
think Mark Brunell's available?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go with Indianapolis as well in this matchup. Like you said, though, I think it's still going to be close. Jacksonville does play Indianapolis really tightly, but Indy is on a roll. And I can just see them keep on going. I keep on going right to a wild card spot, which is amazing. A lot of people didn't guess that Indianapolis, after their season last year, would be playing like this and fighting for a wild card spot. And I think in order for Indianapolis to do that, they do have to win this week. Prime time matchup, they're going to have to show the nation what they can do, and I think they will. I think they'll win.
I think they do as well. As like I said, I mean, it's going to be a real like we said, it's going to be a real exciting matchup. And I think an interesting aspect of this is if Luck plays really well, maybe has his best game. A lot of people have been saying that Andrew Luck could be the MVP of the NFL, and not only just Rookie of the Year, but MVP. I don't know about that, but this leads us to our next topic. We're already past week 8, 9. Now we're going into week 10. And I guess the talk of who should be the MVP of the NFL. Last week, I kind of already gave you mine. I definitely think it's Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan is leading the Falcons right now. They're at 8-0. He's being one of the best leaders in football and, executing when it counts. This team has played some close games too. It's not like they're blowing out everyone. He showed the strong leadership they needed against the Raiders, so well as his defense, and strong leadership a couple weeks before that against the Panthers to get the victory there. So they've had some blowout victories where they blew up the Chargers and stuff of that nature. But I think he to me is definitely the easy choice right now for MVP of the year.
I think a lot of people would agree with you, Jay. And I mean, a huge part of being MVP is also leadership. My pick, though, is someone who is flying under the radar, and I think that's also kind of why I want to pick this guy, is because I'm putting him on your radar. And his name is Arian Foster. Big name, but for some reason not in a lot of people's MVP picks. Well, he is top of most running back stats. He is receiving 24 carries a game, which is the most amongst running backs. The next closest has 20 carries, which is Marshawn Lynch. He's the only running back who's averaging over 100 yards per game right now. And also he has the most rushing touchdowns in the season so far with 10. Next closest is some guy named Doug Martin. Oh my goodness.
The muscle hamster.
Yeah, and but I think the most telling stat as to why this man deserves MVP, 0 fumbles so far, Jason. 10 weeks in, 0 fumbles. In this NFL, turnovers are huge. And if you have a running back who gets the ball 24 carries a game, runs it 100 yards, and doesn't fumble it, that's incredible. Arian Foster, MVP.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting pick. I mean, I can see some of your points, but I think really it's Houston as a team right now is winning in every aspect. So, I mean, not to discredit Arian Foster, I should say, I mean, he's definitely a big aspect of their running game. But right now, I mean, Schaub, especially last week, Schaub was just airing it out, and that defense played enough tight. So to me, with Houston, it's a team game. I mean, if anyone needs to, I don't know. I mean, the Ryan pick, I think, is a fair one. I mean, some people are already saying Peyton Manning, and I feel that's just because we haven't seen him in like year. And as well, the people I think are always going to take Aaron Rodgers because Aaron Rodgers is really the offense so far, still for Green Bay. But I mean, I'm always for different picks, so I mean, I can see it. I think you made a strong case, but I don't think it'll happen. For sure, and just because of that whole, it's a team element with Houston, but...
Hey, you need a team like Matt Ryan, Atlanta. It's not like Atlanta's terrible. His team's amazing.
Not at all, but...
Green Bay's team's amazing.
I don't think Arian Foster's the one motivating the people in the clutch when it counts. I think that's where you expect, the likes of a J.J. Watt or even a Schaub or an Andre Johnson. So that's just all I have to really say about that with the Texans. But I mean, hey, it's a long season. He could continue to break, and definitely, like you said, no fumbles in the NFL of today's current module. That's always a good thing to have happen. So maybe the Bengals will try to make a play for Adrian Foster next off season. Speaking of the Houston Texans, which was your pick and for MVP with the team he plays on, we got a barn burner for matchup. Dare I say? This may be a mini preview of the Super Bowl because I picked the Bears, and I can honestly see Houston right now being in the Super Bowl as of right now. Easily the best team in the AFC, in my opinion. So it's the Bears and the Texans at Soldier Field in Chicago. Both teams only coming off one loss. Who was that one loss to? The Green Bay Packers. Now the Bears, I think they played the Packers a little bit more closer in the second or the first Thursday night game of the season. Yeah. They played them a little bit more close. Houston got absolutely blown out by Green Bay, and it made them have to tighten up their defense and tighten up things. But I guess you can maybe take that loss to they lost another before that game when they played the Jets the week before. They lost a big leader in Brian Cushing on defense. So maybe there had been an emotional aspect or impact negatively there on defense, but this matchup just scares me. I mean, both teams are kind of eerily similar. Their defenses are strong.
Very similar.
I mean, if we're going to go tail of the tape style here, defense, I'm going to lean with Chicago. Their defense is scary. I mean, their defense, like we've said it before, is like an offense. They're scoring points. Yeah. And they put up 51 last week as a team against the Titans. That's all Madden level, and you're playing on rookie, folks. So that's just something you have to there. I think Houston's offense may be a little bit more high-powered than Chicago, but that's just like by this much. So to me, I think maybe the aspect of this game comes down to special teams and kicking, and I may go with Houston here on that. I saw Robbie Gould have some trouble against the Panthers. Granted, it was in the wind and stuff of that nature, but hey, it's here at Soldier, and that's going to obviously be an element there. So I may lean with Houston here, but
you might lean.
I may, but I could see Houston winning, but I mean, Chicago at home is very tough. But if any team could beat them that I can see down the line, it could be the Houston Texans.
Well, Jason, I am jacked up for this matchup. Holy cow. Both teams 7-1. Just like you said, defenses both incredible. You mentioned about Houston's defense. Statistically, in terms of yards allowed, actually better than the Bears. However, the Bears is like an offense. They are incredible in terms of creating turnovers. And speaking of turnovers, Houston has an incredible +8 turnover differential on the season. Bears have +16. That's insane. That is absolutely incredible. This is just such a sexy matchup. It's very hard to guess. Well, it is a guess. It's very hard to pick. I'm going to have to guess. The only reason I'm making a pick is because this guy's going to make me.
That's the part of our show, so yeah.
So I got to go with the Bears, but because it's going to be in Chicago, the colder the better, I think, for the Bears. However, even with that said, Houston, if it's really cold, they can't pass the ball. They can just pound it. They can just run it. But I got to go with the Bears because at home. But just watch. Watch Sunday night. You won't be disappointed.
No, you won't. But I mean, if you're gonna go with the cold weather for Houston, I think they've been in cold weather before. Last year in the playoffs in Baltimore, I think they handled it quite well, and that was with third string quarterback T.J. Yates at the time. So this matchup definitely is sexy. And then unfortunately though, for Monday, I mean, if you thought you had the prom queen going to the dance, you obviously may have been drunk the whole night, the whole weekend, and when you woke up Monday morning, you definitely had Oprah Winfrey beside you or something like that. Because this is a terrible matchup on Monday.
Ugly matchup.
Ugly. Oh God.
Like you see this matchup in a bar, it should be buying you drinks.
Yeah, exactly. Or for sure, maybe you just walk into oncoming traffic because it's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers have picked up their play as of late. Like we said to start the show, nice come-from-behind victory against your Giants. Whereas the Kansas City Chiefs have not even had a lead in the NFL this year. They are really struggling, and a team that I actually had a lot of hope to maybe cause a little bit of damage in their division this year. I thought Romeo Crennel was going to be a strong coach, tighten up that defense, and the offense would, work it with Castle getting the ball to Bo and Jamal Charles just running it. That has not happened at all. They have looked awful in some instances. They may be one of the worst teams in NFL history, honestly, because if you can't even have a lead in the NFL, I'm pretty sure the BC Lions could maybe cause some trouble for the Kansas City Chiefs. That may be a statement right there.
Or Alabama, as
no, because Jesse Palmer definitely said yesterday even Jacksonville could beat Alabama because it's a full team roster here. But I think if we're talking pro level teams, maybe BC. But the Chiefs are just god awful. The game's in Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's picked up their play. They've, gone at old school ground and pound that ball. Their run game's gotten really good. And, Big Ben still being a strong leader out there. I think the D's even, old schoolish, even without the likes of Polamalu out there. So easily a Pittsburgh pick for me.
Yeah, Pittsburgh kind of spun the tires a bit at the beginning of the season. They didn't really go anywhere. I think they've they've got some traction now, and they're building on it. Unfortunately they looked really good against my boys, the Giants, and their run game scary. These guys running I've never heard of before. It's incredible though, and they're definitely they're hitting their stride right now, which is a good time to hit it in November. And KC just in shambles. They need to protect a quarterback, at least one of them. They've both been hurt, mixing it out. They can't play defense. Like you said, haven't had a lead. That's embarrassing that they haven't had a lead all regular season. So yeah, easily the Steelers for me. But do we have a game to watch, Jason?
Honestly, I think we do, because I think this week we have a nice divisional matchup in the NFC North, and we're not talking, it's interesting that we're not talking about Chicago or Green Bay. It's the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings in a matchup that I think will be really good. These, speaking of teams that play each other close from, Thursday and what I think we expect Sunday to be, Sunday afternoon when Detroit and Minnesota play, these teams play each other very close. I recall last year, and the first time they met, Detroit pulled it out to move to 3-0 and just a late second field goal or very early in overtime against these Vikings. The Vikes, while they are still a strong team in my mind, they're struggling a little bit, coming off 2 losses. To one where they kind of got embarrassed by Tampa Bay at home, and then last week they made it very close against the Seahawks, but the elements of being in Seattle and that Seahawk defense, I think, was just too much for Minnesota. This will be an interesting matchup. I think the Lions are playing good football. They've won 2 in a row, and one of those is a nice come-from-behind victory against the Eagles. So I like this matchup a lot. I think the game of football is definitely a game of momentum, and I learned that the hard way with the Panthers going over the Redskins last week. Yeah. I'm going to take the Lions here. They're rolling. I think they got things figured out. The bye week was clearly a good week for them, a good thing for them, as they seem to straighten things out. While Calvin Johnson may not be as big a part of the offense, Titus Young is, and is definitely getting the job done for Stafford. So I'm leaning with Detroit here.
Okay. Yeah, and like you said, they are on a roll. I think Vikings started out kind of overachieving, a lot of people would agree, and Lions started out kind of underachieving. I think a lot of people would agree on that. Detroit on a roll, they're going. And I would normally pick the Vikings in this matchup because I do like them at home. Mind you, last time I picked them at home, they lost. But their boy Percy Harvin has an ankle injury, probably not going to play. And I think that's huge. He's a huge part of their offense. Ponder, he is his number one receiver. Has most touchdowns on a receiving core on that team. So that's a big hit to their offense, and they're going to need it against the Lions defense. So just because of that, I think Lions are gonna pull it out, but I still think it's gonna be close. And the beauty of this matchup is you gotta assume Chicago and Green Bay are gonna win. One of them's gonna win the division, the other one's gonna get a wild card. So these two teams have got to claw it out for that last wild card spot. And it'd be interesting if I think three teams from one division could make it to the playoffs. And it'd be from this division.
That'd be definitely interesting. I think the key to the matchup for Detroit's to stop the run, because Peterson's been a beast coming off that ACL injury. And if you saw last week, I mean, on their Vikings' first possession, from the second play, and he just ran over the Seahawks defense. So, I mean, Peterson, they just got to stop him. And that's an issue, because Detroit, while they may have this strong defense that we all think, hasn't really done that well this year. Right. So that's going to be the one thing Minnesota's going to have to get going. But I think it's all about momentum, and I think Detroit's offense is going to outweigh what Minnesota has at defense. But really, that's going to wind us down here to our Quick Pick segment here. There are some interesting matchups in here, don't get me wrong. Starting with the undefeated Atlanta Falcons, going to the Superdome to take on the Saints. Who do you like?
Saints.
I as well like the Saints. The Falcons have trouble with New Orleans, and especially when they're in New Orleans, I'm going to say New Orleans is the team to stop the win streak of the Atlanta Falcons. Titans and Dolphins.
Gotta go with Miami. They look good in their loss. I think they can pull it out.
I as well think this will actually be a really close matchup. While the Titans may have given up 51 against the Bears, I think they make it really interesting against Miami, but Miami by a field goal. The Chargers and Bucks, and what I think is a must-watch matchup, honestly.
I say the Bucks, though, at home.
Yeah, Tampa is on a roll with those victories over Minnesota and Oakland. The muscle hamster Doug Martin has just been a force to reckon with. And as well, Freeman's playing good football, and he's hitting Vincent Jackson like I expected, so Tampa. And the Jets going up to Seattle this week.
I gotta go with Seattle.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, God, yeah, at home.
Seattle at home. Jets are really struggling. And lastly, the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and honestly, a matchup between two teams that could just beg for a win.
Can I say both of them to lose?
Well, I know you would, but one of them.
Dallas.
Dallas right now. It's all about momentum. Dallas definitely has it. Haven't been playing that bad football. Eagles. Can they not turn the ball over? That's the question here. And it's in Philly, though, which always makes everything interesting. Part of me would like a Philadelphia win just to see Cowboy fans lose it, because that's actually really fun, but I'm going with the Cowboys.
I'm never picking the Eagles ever again.
Well, they're elite, though. They're elite. They're winning your division, Matt, according to you. But that's it for this week of the show. We'll definitely be back next week to talk all the happenings and all the good stuff, the good, the bad, the ugly. So stay here. Same Batman time, same Batman channel. For Matt, I'm out. Peace.